Are you ready? Look, is this the first 1/48th scale model I've made? I can't remember, I'm losing track. Anyway, here's a 1/48th scale Messerschmitt Bf109 E4/7. I don't really pay attention to that kind of thing. Yeah, it's a Messerschmitt. So that's what counts. I like them. I'm a big fan. And what have we got here? Not instructions directly, are they? These are a painting guide and markings. And now look at all those markings. Right, so there's a lot of options, and there's the parts in the bag, which is not a thriller, is it? And then you get the usual bump, and then at last we get down to the instructions, which are, it's a Hasegawa, did I mention that? And they are definitely, I like Hasegawa. I've liked them since I was a teen, and nice clear instructions. I'm looking forward to this. So, and then there's this, which got stuck to something, which it says clearly their painting guide, and this is the one I'm going to do, which is the one on the box. And I like the speckles over the blue. Something about that. It's quite fun, isn't it? And here's the parts. And, oh, come on, turn the camera around. And it really, if you look at it, I mean, these days you can get a 1/72nd Airfix Messerschmitt with about the same number of parts. But anyway, big parts this time. So a good one for 1/48th scale if you're if it is the first. Well, it looks like it all comes together instantaneously, which would be very misleading. It hasn't at all. It's one of those models, I've encountered this once or twice before, where it actually looks as if different teams have worked on different parts. The wings have gone together fantastically. They really are good. You know, there's plenty more to go on them. Whereas fuselage is a mess. The bodywork itself, the actual, you see, it's not, I can't even push it together. Yeah, the fuselage is shabby. Let me turn this off, get a hold of it and show you. You can see from the paintwork that there's sort of two parts there. So the tail rudder is on the other side of the fuselage. That's all one piece. So this, you can see the L shape there, fits together really nicely. Run along here, doing all right. And then look, that obviously is just from the moulding. But when you try and push the two together, they don't want to go. I'll show you. From the cockpit forward to the nose, there's only one pin. Oops, there. And even if you get that to sit together, you get this big gap. Now I know it just slipped, but the slip tells you something, doesn't it? And the gap is around about that, so this is going to be a serious peg job. But what also happens is this. Inside, all this stuff doesn't quite sit perfectly, and it has to. You know, there's no two ways around that. And I was going to paint it, but I just started to try and piece things together as a test run and realised the obstacles I was coming up against. So gradually things got glued bit by bit, which I should have had some self-restraint, stopped, painted and then come back. But this really is an unhappy interior. I haven't got much to point with, but the panel with all the gear on doesn't want to sit properly against the body, and so you have to make a few compromises. What's disappointing is that means the other side, the bit that isn't on here, well, that really isn't going to fit because all the problems multiply. You know, each fraction of a millimetre adds up. So I've ended up sticking it on this side, but then it doesn't really want to attach with all the other stuff. So once again, there's going to have to be a little bit of work to stop this being chaotic. So at this point I am going to have to stop and paint the interior. It's going to be fiddly. Some of it will be visible, so I'm going to have to get it right. And then finally it can all go together with a lot of pegs. Well, there's the pegs. The interior, I looked at it on various things, including the real thing, photographs of on the internet. It's very dark grey, but there is some yellow cabling, which usually is very saggy, but I believe that straight yellow line is. So I've done that, and there's a little bit on this side as well. Look at the gap. Can you see the gap? Anyway, in there somewhere. And then I've got to just do a little bit of detail on that. So we are gluing. Isn't that a shame? Meanwhile, over at the wings, so far it seems life is much better. These are the bits that need to go on. Got that. There we go. They all need a clean up and sticking on, and I think the wheels are going to move a lot faster than the fuselage. But there we go. Here we are, and it just kind of came together. The tail fins and the wings aren't glued, they're just kind of clipped into place. So that's always a sign of a not just a good fit, but a well-made model. It's a great shame the same can't be said for the fuselage, as I've been mentioning. I've got to tidy up the cockpit, and I've got to put all kinds of little bits and pieces on, but we're kind of moving on quick. Basic paint job. It's not quite as patchy as I'd wanted it, strangely, but that's how it's come out, so you know, that'll do. And I've got to smarten a few things up. The undercarriage legs need a little bit more kind of highlighting with a metallic paint of some sort or another. The tail, I've seen various versions of the tail with different levels of yellow and grey on the internet and so on. It's not clear on the instructions. So I'll be tidying the tail up, and I'll be checking on the internet a little bit further. So that's okay. The other thing I need to check is a really weird thing. It's not very noticeable on the coloured instructions, but see on the wing, according to the instructions, these bits don't go all the way down to the bottom edge of the wing, the trailing edge, and I can't believe that. They certainly do on that side. That needs a double check, so I haven't gone too far with it yet, just in case it's absolutely correct. Just got a little trimming to do of the paintwork and a few of the tiny final bits to put on, the stuff that usually breaks. What I'm noticing is the transfers are very gloss and the paint is very matte, so I think I need to do a layer or two of gloss varnish just to give it the slightly glazed quality that helps with the aerodynamics and slipstream. Like that word slipstream, it's probably inappropriate, but in between making this I'm watching Fear is the Key, all about underwater stuff. So words like stream seem relevant. I watched that when I was a kid. In fact, as a family, we'd gone out to watch some manky old family film as a treat for some reason or another, and they'd stopped running it at the cinema, and this was the only other thing worth watching on. Not that we knew what it was, so we just crammed into the cinema. Potluck. Turned out to be something of an adventure with a very long ongoing car chase, which were very trendy at the time. And now, God, who knows, nearly 50 years later, I can see it again. I don't think it's going to live up to my record. That looks a little better. Just a little sheen across the nose there. And it's all blended in okay. So like I say, a little bit of trimming, and then I think it'll all be done, and well, we'll have a look at it. Oops. And this is it done. It's a very nice little model, or a medium-sized model. Everything went together okay, really. No serious problems, and it's come out looking, you know, like it all fits, which is the aim. I always feel I've got to up me finish, but that being said, you know, it's okay. Did I enjoy it? Of course I did. Want to get another? I've got another. Got another already. So we'll be seeing that sometime in the near future. How about that? And also wheels down. And of course it's one of those fabulous Messerschmitts, which I just can't resist for some reason. So, a good one. I like it very much. And yes, I'm glad I've got another one to do. I can learn from this one, hopefully, and develop the model making skills a little. Hooray for Hasegawa. Oh, I've got to trim a slightly large decal on the tail. Just overhangs the tail a little. But apart from that, we're done. There we go. Splendid. Oh, just what do I mean splendid? There's no markings on the tops of the wings. What's going on? And there at last we have it with the bomb on. Doesn't make a lot of difference, does it? But you know, it's meant to have a bomb or a drop tank. Obviously it could have dropped the bomb, but it didn't. I knocked it off. But apart from that, you see, it's done. There we are. All done now. Woo. Oh, and the markings on the top of the wings. As if I could forget now. But I did. So there it is. Done. Very good model. Obviously an average bit of trickiness with the fuselage. It looks, you know, doesn't look as if there's anything that's out of proportion. It all looks fine to me. Any problems visually are my doing. And it went well. The cockpit canopy had sufficient, the detail on it was sufficient for me to not make a horrific mess of it. I take very little credit for how it came out. It's all to do with the quality of the detail on that, and very often the glass is quite a warped and troubled thing. So well done, Hasegawa. Would I do another one? Yes, I would, because I've got another one lined up. So we'll see more of that one another time. Anyway, as usual, thanks for watching. Thank you for your patience in this land of the confused, easily confused, and hopefully see you again soon. Farewell for now, folks.